What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to Leafs Digest. This preseason is wrapping up. We have one game left against the Ottawa Senators, and we are about to kick it into high gear heading into the regular season starting next week. First game against the Montreal Canadiens. Now, Josh and I have been pumping out Leafs content over the last little while, trying to keep you guys up to date over the summer, give you guys some things to think about, some possible trade rumors, some signings that we may want to go after, maybe where guys may slot into this lineup and which guys may have deserved a spot into this regular rotation as the season comes. Now, one of the things that we've kind of noticed as the season has gone on this offseason has gone on, is that there was a lot more question marks in the forwards than there were in the defensemen. So this video, I will be actually keying in onto the defensemen because throughout this preseason, we've seen a lot of question marks in terms of who may slot into that sixth spot. But before I start breaking that all down, you may have noticed Josh and I have been hopping on here after each preseason game, breaking it all down, reacting to the game. Which players do we like? Which players do we not like? What are some things we've seen from this team that excite us, that get us all amped up for this regular season to get underway? What are some things that we see differently from this Leafs team that we haven't seen in years past or even preseasons past? And if you love this content, if you are looking for more of this kind of stuff, more reaction videos, we will be putting out videos each and every day. So if you want to stay up to date with what we're talking about, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Josh and I are on the road to 1,000 subscribers right now. We are fast approaching. We are hustling our way there. We're doing everything we can to get there, not only for ourselves, but for you guys, the fans, the followers, our current subscribers. There's much more we can do once we get to that 1,000 subscriber point. And once we get there, options are endless, honestly. We've done a live stream. We're looking to do some more. So anytime those are going to be coming out, you guys are looking for live stream reactions, post-game analysis, even trade breakdowns, rumor talk. It's all here on this Leafs Digest channel. So the most important thing you can do right after liking this video, because we know you're going to do that, and leave a comment telling us what you think, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you don't want to do it right now, I completely understand. Wait till the end of the video, and on your way out, before you close that tab, before you close your phone down, subscribe to this Leafs Digest channel. Every subscription means a whole lot to us. We appreciate you guys for following along. Enough of that. Let's get right into this Leafs defense. Who are we going to see on the blue line for the Leafs this season? So, the 5 guys that really have slotted in here as locks on this team, regardless of what positions they'll be sliding in at, I would have to say it's Morgan Rielly, TJ Brodie, Jake Muzzin, Justin Holl, Rasmus Sandin. Now, last year we did see pairings of Morgan Rielly and TJ Brodie, Jake Muzzin and Justin Holl, and then further down from there, we saw Sandin, Bogosian, Dermott, Bogosian. Once Bogosian went out, we saw a flip-flop, a different rotation of guys sliding into that spot. Bogosian being gone in this offseason has left us a little less options and kind of seemed more clear as to, okay, it's going to be Travis Dermott in that spot. Now, after this preseason, after training camp, and even after kind of some of the things we've heard and seen from this Leafs team throughout, I would honestly have to say that Sandin has pushed himself above Dermott in terms of reliability, dependency here, and what he can bring on a night-to-night basis. Rasmus Sandin has shown that he has taken steps in his game every time he's shown up with this Leafs team. We saw it into the regular season last year. We saw it in the playoffs where he stepped up and got onto the first power play. And now we're seeing it in the preseason where this guy just looks like an NHL-ready defenseman. So, as far as those 5 go, I would say that it's pretty certain Rielly and Brodie will stick together. I feel pretty comfortable with Muzzin and Holl playing together, but I think that as Rasmus Sandin's season goes on, if he continues on an upward trend, I truly would not be surprised if we see a situation where he slides in ahead of Holl and plays with Muzzin, if for no reason other than he deserves more minutes. He deserves more NHL ice time. He deserves more of an opportunity to showcase what he can do on the NHL level in bigger moments, in higher pressure situations, playing against tougher talent in that second D pairing than he would be in the third. I don't think that if he stays in the third, regardless of who he plays with, he'd get that many minutes. So it's going to have to be spotted in here and there through power play time, penalty kill time. But I think that we could see that adjustment where he moves up ahead of Holl, slides onto that second pair. Until that point comes where he shows that progression and he shows that confidence that we can say, hey, Sandin, you're a guy that can play that second line, that second D pair on a night-to-night basis. He's sliding into the third D pair. And now the bigger question becomes, who is his D partner to start this season? I think the natural assumption all the way along has been Travis Dermott, but after watching this preseason, I genuinely can't sit here anymore and say, that's Dermott's spot. I think it's Dermott's spot to lose because Timothy Liljegren, I don't know if he's completely NHL ready, but I do believe that he deserves NHL minutes. He deserves more of an opportunity to get in there and showcase what he can do against NHL players on a regular rotation because he's gotten into 13 NHL games in his career. He's only has 1 assist and he's a -4 in those 13 games. But a 13 games for a guy like this who's 22 years old, a 6 foot, 190-pound defenseman, it's not that much. And the thing is that with Rasmus Sandin, when he got up here, he started to be able to get some sort of consistency in his play. For a young defenseman, it takes a little bit longer for them to develop, mature, and get into this league, especially if they're not a guy like Thomas Chabot or Cale Makar, where you know right away this guy is a stud. This is a guy who's going to be fighting to be a regular into a lineup. They do need that little bit of time, that little bit of grace period to get comfortable with the pace of play, to get comfortable with the physicality, the speed, the intensity, all of that, because no matter what you're doing in the AHL level and no matter how professional that league is and close to the NHL it is, it's not the NHL. Every single guy who comes into the NHL will testify to the fact that it is a bigger, stronger, faster game. Guys who come here from the KHL testify to the fact that it's a different and harder game to play. So for a guy like Sandin to get in and have consistent minutes, we did see a progression from him and we got to see him become more comfortable. Liljegren hasn't really had that opportunity, whether that be because of injuries and guys coming in and out and guys that are supposed to be in this lineup having an opportunity to come back, whether it be because the coaching staff didn't feel comfortable or they just didn't see spots where he could get in, or whether it be because of his own play where he didn't show any kind of confidence or anything to stand out in that short period of time to say, hey, you're a guy who has to stay in this lineup. I think at age 22, Timothy Liljegren is ready to take on some sort of consistent minutes in this lineup. I do genuinely believe at this point after this, in this preseason, Timothy Liljegren deserves that spot ahead of Travis Dermott right now. I don't know if he'll deserve that spot halfway through the season, maybe not even a quarter of the way through the season, but right now, personally, I would much rather have a guy like Timothy Liljegren in this lineup ahead of Travis Dermott. There is also a comfortability level between Liljegren and Sandin, coming from Sweden, playing in the programs over there, getting some ice time in the Marlies together, just having that general, we're around the same age, we're from the same place, speak the same language. There is that comfortability around each other to know each other's game, know each other as people, become friends on and off the ice, and develop some sort of chemistry there that could allow them to excel even in that way. Even if it just becomes like we have a 1 pair, and we have a 2A, 2B pair where we can slide out Muzzin and Hall, and then after the fact, we can slide out Sandin and Liljegren, and on a night-to-night basis, whoever's playing better, whoever's playing the matchups better, can get those minutes more and can get into the ice more. I think that's a situation that could come of this. I think that if a guy like Travis Dermott is out there, he's going to almost hold that back to be like, no, we're always the third D pair. We're always the D pair that's relied upon to play against the weaker forward lines because we can't be trusted against the higher up ones. Whereas with this progression we've seen from Liljegren, I do trust it a little bit more to give it a test, give it a try, and see what they can do against better competition. The other thing that I notice here, which may push Dermott out onto this list, and I think he is behind Liljegren in terms of familiarity with this organization and the fact of how long he's been around, and even just, I wouldn't say his play has necessarily been better than Liljegren's to this point, but it's a guy like Brennan Menell. Brennan Menell looked very good to me in this preseason, and he even scored a goal in this last game last night, where I looked at it and I said, that's a guy who he gets power play minutes. He shows some offensive awareness to be able to jump into a play and score. He hasn't had much NHL experience, only 5 games played, 0 points. He was a +1 in those 5 games, so shout out to him. I mean, analytics don't mean everything, but hey, +1 in your 5 games in the NHL, congratulations. But he goes over to the KHL last season, 47 games played, 5 goals, 33 assists, 38 points in those 47 games played as a 23-year-old defenseman, finishes +7 on the season. Pretty good for a professional hockey league that is considered essentially second best to the NHL in the world. So Brennan Menell, he does that in the KHL. He does have some NHL experience. I mean, it's not like it's world-beating and he has less games played than Liljegren. I can tell you, we can see that from the numbers clearly, 13 for Liljegren, 5 for Menell. But he has at least touched ice in an NHL game. He's been around NHL franchises and he played time in the AHL. Through this preseason, he's looked pretty confident. He's looked pretty comfortable out there. He looks aware. He looks defensively responsible. And then again, getting time on that power play unit. He shows some offensive creativity, some offensive ability. If nothing else, I would personally rate him as equal to, and definitely not less than, ability and skill-wise than Travis Dermott. And the thing is, when you look at Travis Dermott, you look at the lack of consistency this guy has brought on a night-to-night basis, there's nothing to say, hey, why wouldn't we try this guy who we don't really know much about and see if you can do any better than Dermott? Because if you're going to throw a guy out there who's going to throw pizzas up the middle, and pardon my recency bias to the playoffs last year where he threw that brutal giveaway against the Montreal Canadiens in the playoffs, but if he's going to go out there and throw pizzas and he's going to lose guys in the D zone and he's going to be jittery and he's going to look a little bit lost at times, why does he deserve that spot ahead of Brendan Menell? Unless Menell's in practice and training, doing things that we can't see that are absolutely ridiculous and should never be touching the NHL ice, I strongly believe this guy should get a chance, at least at some point, to touch ice in the NHL here throughout this regular season. And if nothing else, even if Liljegren takes that 6th spot, he should become the 7th D ahead of Dermott at some point, because same age, approximately same height, same weight, they have same statistics across, less NHL experience, but he did play in the KHL and performed really well there. This guy can play pro hockey, and he looked good in the preseason. I felt pretty comfortable seeing him out there. Why couldn't this guy slide into that 7D spot? Now, the last guy who I could see kind of push into the 8, I don't really see him ahead of Dermott, but I could see him giving him a run for his money and maybe getting some time with this Leafs team, Alex Biega. Alex Biega is 33 years old. He's 5'10", 198 pounds. We know what he is. He's a consistent, defensively responsible, penalty-killing defenseman who will grab those penalty-killing minutes where you could see specific, we're looking for this tonight kind of moments where Alex Biega gets in there because you're saying, hey, we need a guy to kill penalties because Jake Muzzin is out, and you're not comfortable putting Rasmus Sandin out there at that point. Alex Biega is a veteran guy. He's been around the NHL for a long time, 241 games played in the NHL, 351 games played in the AHL. He's been around pro hockey. He's been around North America. He knows the deal here. He knows how to play professional North American hockey, and above that, he knows how to play NHL hockey. This is a guy you can put out there and say, hey, we need you here. Kill penalties tonight. Play 8 minutes, 6 minutes even. Don't make mistakes while you're out there. Be defensively aware. Kill some penalties for us. We need that from you. I could see him getting some of those minutes. And as we all know, injuries do happen in this regular season and regular seasons in general. So we could see guys slotting in and out, whether one guy's out or multiple guys are out at a time. There will be a bit of a rotation through the defensemen here, especially until we find that sweet spot of that's our top 6. Those are the guys we're rolling with. So in summary, we're looking at a 5 defenseman lock of the century here, really, with Morgan Rielly, TJ Brody, Jake Muzzin, Justin Hall, and Rasmus Sandin. The 6th D-man spot is really up in the air, and then after that, the depth is very weird because we can't even determine who amongst that 7th D would slide in ahead. Once you grab the 6th D, who's the 7th? That's kind of a question mark at this point. Personally, I believe Liljegren is ready to make his debut in the NHL as a consistent 6th defenseman. I think he's the guy who should get that spot over Travis Dermott. I think he's ready. I think he deserves this time. He's 22 years old. It's time for him to make this step. We need to figure out if he's a guy that can play in the NHL, because burying him in the minors is not going to be beneficial to this current Leafs team, future Leafs teams, or Timothy Liljegren's draft stock. We can't tell what he's going to be if he's a guy that strictly plays in the AHL. Bring him up to the NHL, see what he can do for us here. If he doesn't fit, maybe he's going to be a guy that fits on into another NHL team, and you got to dish him off and give him a try there. So, Leafs fans, if you're interested in this content, if you like what we've been bringing to you, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Every subscriber we get along the way means a whole lot to us. We really appreciate it. There will be a lot more things coming to you guys. Live videos, post-game reactions, gambling tidbits that we get into. We'll project over and unders for this upcoming season. We'll make this season's predictions. Where do we see this team slotting into the standings? How many wins do we think they can get? Points. How many goals will Austin Matthews score? These are all things that will be coming in videos coming up to you guys soon. So if you're interested in that content, hit subscribe on the way out. Now is almost the time as I am wrapping this up. It is time to subscribe. It is time to like. And as you're going, leave a comment on this video. Let us know what you think. Who do you think the Leafs' 6th defenseman defenseman should be going into this season. Is Timothy Liljegren ready? Is it time to move on from Travis Dermott? Let us know. Leafs fans, we'll see you guys soon. Keep believing.